All right, we're back. More Sons of the Force. What are we doing today? We are, well, building things. We're building things, friends. I think Kelvin's still asleep or doing something over there. I've cleared out this area already. It was a little dark, so I didn't start the recording. So it's kind of hard to see at night in the game. So I woke up at like 5:30 or something in the morning. Cleared all this area out. We just need some stone. We need the stone for our build, which we're doing. It's wintertime, by the way. You can see the snow. I mean, that's the first clue. It's wintertime. The snow. I think the second clue is that it's cold. We get these kind of clues, you know. It's wintertime. What do you think that? Well, there's snow on the ground. Oh. Well, it's, you know, it could be autumn. Man, we get snow on the ground. That could happen. I mean, certain places. You get snow on the ground in autumn. It's not official winter. Not officially. Anyway. But for our purposes, it's winter. I think we're somewhere, I'm not sure, but I think the lore is that we're on an island that is close to, that is kind of in the North American latitude. Canadian, I think it's maybe a more kind of Canadian latitude. Southern Canada, northern U.S. Latitude. So we're getting all four of the seasons. I think that's the lore anyway, because we're not obviously on a desert island. There's no palm trees here. There's no coconuts, no bananas. I think Sons of the Force 3, they're going to put us on a desert island. That would be awful. It wouldn't be called the Forest anymore, would it? They could call it the Sandbox. Yeah, we'll see what they do with it in SO3, SOF3. Okay, what are we working on over here? We were having a discussion yesterday about my government here. You know, we were talking about the governorships. I think it is the way to go with governorships. Doing maybe 10-year appointed terms. I'd have to think about it a little bit more. I haven't really thought about it. I mean, I've never formed my own government before. Now, you know, I'm saying this, and now I'm probably on some CIA watch list. You're going to form your own government. You need to be on the watch list. Okay, thanks. This is all theoretical, you muppets. This guy said he's going to form his own government. We've got to be careful. This guy's going to be, you know, have an uprising or something. It's theoretical discussion, you pinheads. Anyways, we're going to continue our discussion. So I'm thinking that the term for governor should be 10 years. What do you guys think? 10 years? Appointed by said emperor, by a king, emperor, whatever term that you would like to use. Emperor just sounds nicer. Sounds like you have more power. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't looked it up yet. What the differences between the two models of the technical difference between the two. Because a king pretty much has absolute authority absent a legislative body. Like in England, they decided that they wanted to have a representative system, which I think is just silly. Why would you want representation? A representative system of some kind? That's just, why do you need that? You don't need that. Silly idea. So the House of Commons and whatever else that thing is, and Parliament. I think those guys can't even decide on who a good leader is. We want a parliament. Well, why do you want a parliament? Because the parliament was supposed to be a representative of the people. That was the idea behind the parliament. And now it's just a crazy loony bin. You ever watch those guys? They stand around and scream at each other. Go watch you can see it on this. Well, the one thing I do like about the English Parliament is that you have to be in. It's not like the U.S. Senate and the House, right? When the House is in session, you don't even have to show up. You can just vote based on a bill, and then people get up there and they speak, and they do their little thing, but they're not required to show up for some reason. But in the Parliament, they actually have to show up. They actually have to kind of do their jobs. And then they get up there and you can see them standing there trying to make their points, and the people are, there's no decorum there. It's like, if somebody disagrees with you, you get to hear about it. English are funny. Then if you want to if you want to vote on the other side, you have to make your way to the other side of the aisle to disagree. But there's not really two sides of the aisle in the Parliament. It's they have so many distinct and different parties. It's like three parties there. I have like the Democrats and the Republicans. It's kind of like the English are weird. Let's just call it that. And then they have to get a consensus of people together to get anything done. So you've got like 3 or 4 parties, and they're all vying for power. So you have to build consensus for whatever it is that you want to do. And then you got to stand there and make your speech, and do your speech, and then the prime minister. That's funny too. Like the prime minister has more power than the king or the queen. But listen to the title itself. Prime Minister. The function of a minister, the function of the original minister is somebody to give advice or counsel to the king and or queen. But now they have more power than the king or queen. English just screwed everything up. They had a perfectly functioning monarchy. What did they do? They managed to screw it up. It's perfectly functional, worked great. They got a bunch of crazies in there doing stupid shit. I mean, they played the game too. F around and find out. Piss off enough of your people, they'll revolt. And then, then the New World's discovered, right? Their functioning monarchy is functioning for how many years is the monarchy running? I think 500-600 years. And then they find, I don't know the number. I'm making shit up again. But then the New World's discovered, and what happens? Everybody who's got an opinion just leaves. Like, screw this place. We're going someplace else. And then all your smart people leave. And all the smart people just leave. There's like, I don't listen to you anymore. We're gone. And then what are you left with? You're left with dithering idiots. Tell you what. You know, and the other thing is if you're a king and you're not operating with any grounding principles, and that's why kingdoms usually falls, because they don't follow grounding principles. Right? They don't have a grounding set of rules that they follow, and that's why they generally implode. That's why you get really bad emperors. That's why you get bad kings, because they don't follow a set of grounding principles. I mean, it's just like what was the king's name? He wanted to remarry, and the Pope said no, and he's like, all right, well, I'm going to form my own religion. We're in the Anglican Church now. Well, I don't like your decision, Pope. I'm the king. So I'm going to form my own religion. Because you used to have to go to the Pope to get a divorce. Right? You want a divorce? You got, this isn't Catholicism, obviously. And the Pope said, no, you can't do that. It's biblical teachings. You're not supposed to divorce your wife. And this is a covenant between you and your wife. And then you're basically abandoning your wife if you do that. You made a commitment to her. She made a commitment to you. You just can't willy-nilly go decide, I don't want to be married to you anymore. It's something bad, there are reasons in Christian theology that say, grounding principles that say, no, you cannot do that. And so what the king does, ignores the Pope, creates his own religion. The Anglican religion, where the king can just, divorce whoever he wants. Come on. There's grounding principles that you got to follow. Or your kingdom or empire falls apart. And, of course, there are a variety of other reasons. Yeah, we're not going to, But, those are some problems that I see with the monarchy. An all-powerful monarchy that doesn't have a focus upon some basic grounding principle of governance. It doesn't matter what kind of grounding principle it is. Well, I guess it does, technically, but if you're not following that grounding, the principles of your here in the U.S. we have the Constitution. If you're not following the Constitution and using constitutional principles, people don't like it because it's the founding documents of granting liberties and such. People get upset about that. They tend not to like it. The way you stay in power is just all you have to do is follow the grounding principles. All there's to it. And what the French do to their their people, they freaking tax them so much that they freaking revolted. I mean, there were a variety of other reasons, but they created a subclass that did not need to exist. How's that look? That looks pretty good. And we can't go this way for a little bit because reasons. But this is fine. Can walk straight up. Yeah, it looks good. We'll see what that looks like in the summertime. I'm thinking we just go down this way. And we just create a dungeon down here. This is like right in here. We just create this dungeon right here. Just make a dungeon right here, and this is where we take all the traitors. This is where we put all the people who do not properly follow the law. We stick them down there. You stay down there until you have, you think about what you've done. Stay in that corner. So yeah, I think it's important that when we form our new empire, my new empire, because I will bring peace and justice to my new empire. That we have the appropriate people running the government in a very efficient way. Now, all of you who've watched this are going to be on some CIA watch list. Look at all these people coming to this guy's channel talking about creating a new government. Here. We're going to fill this in. Oh, what's this corner? No, we're going to take this corner out. I don't believe in democracy. I think democracy is awful. Democracy is horrible. Democracy is horrible. It's been a failed governmental system. Everywhere it's been tried. And fortunately, our country is not a democracy. It's a republic. We are a constitutional republic. Fortunately, we are. I think we've become too too democratic. For example, the governors of every state used to appoint the senators, and that was so that the governors, that the Senate was representative of every state. So if you had a governor who held the people voted in the governor through a democratic process, which is 100% democracy in the state, because you're directly voting the governor in, and then because of that, the state the state senator was appointed by the governor to represent the people of the state. So the senator was beholden to the state governor, which is represented by the people, and they changed that. So anybody can now you vote for your senator, which he is no longer, that senator is no longer representative of the state anymore. The House of Representatives is a direct representation of the will of the people. That was supposed to be the direct representation. And the state is represented by the senator. That's the original founding vision. And it worked for a long time until people said, I need to vote for the senators. No, you don't. Look at that. Look where that's led us. Now senators can get influenced by special interest groups. No. It's not a better form. It's not better in any way. The senator did not want to piss off the governor because he could be replaced. And the governors of every state, they were the representation of the people, people's vote, those who could and were allowed to vote. Now it's all screwed up, and there are various reasons for the electoral college. I know people don't like it, but again, the electoral college is a excellent idea to keep a block of states from controlling the federal government. It gives representation to all the states in government, a representative vote to all the states. If you do away with that, now you've got pure democracy, and that leads to all kinds of trouble. Well, look what happened to the Greek states. They were democracy, and they're the ones who fell pretty easily because they couldn't agree on anything. Democracy is a popularity contest. So we're not having that in my government. No. Who's more popular? Who's going to be class president? Right? Well, we're not voting for her because she's not as pretty as the other gal. So no popularity contests here, please. You've been asleep all day, sir. I hope you enjoyed your day. What about taxes? How are we going to tax our population? I've thought about this too. And this I've thought about quite a bit. I'm not sure on the setting up of the class of the ruling body, if you will. Like I know we should have we should definitely have an emperor or king, emperor slash king, whatever that is, right, with maximal authority. In my version of a good government. But there needs to be a check on that person's power. A constitution, if you will. Constitutional monarchy or emperorship that follows certain guiding principles. Because if you don't, it's just chaos. Because the next emperor can come in and invalidate all the previous emperor's proclamations. That hurt. Did a little bitty shorty thing hurt? Come here. Where's the rest of you? Yo. Get over here. Do your little jump. You missed. Choppy choppy on your face. Okay. These people, I'll tell you what. Tell you what. Go, you're fine, buddy. You want to follow me now? All right. You're going to follow? Did I get a head nod? Yeah, I got a head nod. But I've given a good thought about taxation. Because taxation is an important part of any government. If you don't have taxes, you can't run your government at all. How are you going to run your government? How are you going to pay your government? You know? Build a... No, that's build a shelter. Get stones and fill the horse. I'm not a libertarian. Not a libertarian. I believe that we need to have... do believe we need to have taxes on our citizenry. We need a strong federal government. A strong government, whatever type of government that it's going to be. So I do believe in taxes, but I believe that taxes should be non-negotiable. In other words, unchanging. A constitutional limit on taxation. And I'm up to have the number changed, but I believe 10%. Tax is the maximum amount the federal government should be able to take from you. And that's it. They're not allowed to take any more than 10%. Now, even in I use this. If 10% is good enough for God, it's good enough for our government, for a government. Even if you're an atheist, you can say that. Like, these religious people, they give 10% away. That should be enough for a government. I mean, even if you're an atheist, you can say that. 10% for the church, 10% for government. So, if the government can't operate on 10%, come on, they're overspending. Now, there of course needs to be an exception for national emergencies, but I have a way around that as well, so you don't get taxed extra. So let's say you have a national emergency, say something like a fire goes through a bunch of buildings. You have a national emergency. A state has an emergency. Well, you require the federal government to keep 10% of the gross domestic product in their coffers at all times. Right? That's a lot of money. And that has to be liquid cash. That's just stored cash. No borrowing it, no loaning it. It's liquid cash the government can, dip into whenever they have a national emergency. It's just sitting there. It's just sitting there. They're not allowed to borrow. They're not allowed to loan it out and make money on it. It just sits there. And that's the 10% of your GDP. Then, of course, you would have to have an exception for war, because war is going to happen at some point or another. You may have to have a military action, so yeah, the GDP would handle some of that. But you could set up, let's see, a type of emergency, thing for that as well. I believe anyway. Let's see if we can remove these. Yes. Can I remove this one? Yes. Beautiful. So these can be removed. I can remove these. Create this open area. So yeah, you would need to have an emergency section. You did need a section in there in your to allow for taxation during wartime. But if you have a savings, federal savings, then you don't need to really worry about it too much. Not having enough money. I mean, if you have an extended war, something like a World War II situation, where you have to spend millions and millions of dollars, then you can do war bonds, like we did. We did war bonds. Right, my grandmother had war bonds. She bought war bonds. The government can borrow money from the citizenry. The citizenry can get paid in interest rates. Both my grandmothers had war bonds, in fact. They bought. I'm not opposed to a war tax either. If there's a war, you obviously have to fight it. There's no getting around it. What can't I pull on? There we go. There it is. But it would, having a good pile of money already set aside in cash would dissuade. These guys got 10% of their GDP sitting aside waiting for a national emergency. It's probably not a good idea to invade them. They have cash on hand. Let's do it anyway. Okay. And then of course you can do war bonds. You can do war taxes, which are temporary, by the way. They're not permanent. It would not need to be a permanent situation. I'll go ahead and put one there. Yeah, let's put one up there. I think states should be also limited. If you have states or provinces, whatever you want to call them, states should be limited on the amount of taxes they may collect from citizenry. And where was that one? Right here. And I think the state taxes should be 5% of gross income. No more than 5, and that should be written in your constitution. No more than 5%. And then we should be able to pull this. And do that. This one. Pull this one. There we go. Nice clean opening. State income tax 5% constitution. And that would be federally a federal constitutional mandate. The empire would state that no more than 5%, maybe taken away from a citizen. You could have an income. You could have a sales tax, of course. There's nothing wrong with having a sales tax. So you could institute a state sales tax, but constitutionally protected by 5%, at 5%. Why is 5% important? Why 5%? Not why not, more? Because you don't ever want to tax. The states should never tax more than the federal government. That's why. States should not be allowed to tax more than the federal system. There you go. Nice and open. I'm just making this shit up as I go along. I'm just making this shit up. Now let's go sleep deprived. I don't believe in property taxes, though. I think property taxes are. I think property taxes are wrong. I believe in sales taxes, though. So if I buy a property, let's say I buy a $100,000 property, I pay a one-time sales tax on that to the state. That's perfectly fair. I'm buying something. If I have taxes, if I have sales tax, I buy the property. Let's use these. I buy the property. I have to pay a 5% sales tax one time. That's it. If I buy a $100,000 property, I pay $10,000 sales tax. I own the property for the rest of my life. Don't have to worry about paying taxes anymore. Because I think most states limit their taxes on their. I think it's 2%. Most states, I think it's 2 or 1% property tax. And that's usually constitutionally state written. In my state, anyway, I think it's 2%. But I think being taxed on something that you own and paid for perpetually is it's wrong fundamentally in a taxing system. So you buy a car, you have to pay 2% every year, or a computer, you have to pay 2% every year. No, you just pay it once. So if you're going to have a taxing system which uses let's use another one of these, which uses percentage based on sales tax, then yeah, you should have that set as a one-time thing. And it'd be really good for it's really good for people who want to transfer their property to their sons or daughters. So let's say I own, $100,000 house. If I own a $100,000 house and I want to transfer that property to my son or my daughter, whomever I want to transfer that to, my son or daughter knows exactly how much they need to pay one time for the rest of their life. If I own it, free and clear, they just have to pay, 5% on the sales tax. One time, boom. And why should they have to pay it? Because they didn't buy it. It's a wealth transfer. You're transferring wealth. So yeah, they should have to pay tax on it. It's a wealth. It's a transfer. You're transferring wealth to somebody else without them earning it. So there should, yes, a tax should be applied to it. I've got $1 million I want to give to my son. Okay, well, there's 5% tax on it. But I earned it once, but he didn't. He didn't earn it. So pay the tax. That way, you don't have to pay sales taxes on anything. You don't have to pay sales taxes on your damn properties anymore. You get rid of the problem of people not being able to afford paying their taxes on their home. Problem solved. I'm open to different ideas. I mean, you know, guys have a better idea, I'd love to hear it. I've always hated it. I've despised the idea of property taxes, number one. Because if you get a giant company that comes in and wants to buy us some land, they get a tax exemption from the governor for X number of years, like 10 or 15 years. Right? So they get this huge tax exemption, which normal citizens would have to pay. So all that land that they bought was being taxed at 2% or whatever the number was for that state. And they get a 10-year exemption. Why do they get a 10-year exemption? Because they're bringing in more money and jobs. And that's usually the answer. Because they're bringing in more money from tax, from income tax for all the people that are going to start working there. Okay, congratulations. You've just reduced the amount of money that's going to the schools. So who's really benefiting here? That money that's usually taxed on your property usually goes to public schools. It's generally how it's supplied. So these companies are now sucking the money away from publicly funded schools. Congratulations. But we have more money in the general fund. Yeah, but you have a dumber population because you don't have enough money to fund your public schools. And then the people who buy houses in that area are taxed at 2% or whatever the number is. On a higher valuated property, because let's say you've got there's a population differential before the big guy comes in. Well, now your houses in the area are worth more because of demand for homes. So who's paying more in taxes? Not the company, the individuals. So a $100,000 house suddenly becomes worth a $120,000 house because of demand, because of population. And so who's stuck with the tax bill? The company. The citizenry. So that takes care of that issue. No deals can be made with these companies that want to move in and get bonuses, get special deals and not having to pay taxes. It's classified as a sales tax. It's one time for life. You just have to pay the land tax one time. And that's it. And if your company stays here, in this area, because what generally happens, you know how this happens, right? That once the deal is done, it's for 10 or 20 years or however long it is. Then the deal goes away, and they're hit with these big property taxes. What are they looking to do? They go to another state, and they pull the same crap. And I don't blame the companies. I blame the system by which the companies are using it. It doesn't cost them anything to build a new building. They just take over one of the other ones. Yeah. That's why I'm for a flat tax system across the board. Everybody has to pay the same rate. 10%, that's it. Federal government. 5% max on state. And a 5% sales tax. Everybody pays taxes now. Doesn't matter whether you're involved in illegal activities. Still have to pay state tax. Still paying the tax, baby. Looks good. I'm just making this shit up. I don't believe all this stuff. I'm just theorizing here. And there's some states that don't even have income tax. They only have a sales tax. There's some companies that have just a sales tax, and they don't have an income tax. And there's some states that don't even. I think there's some states that don't even have. What do you call it? Property taxes. I'll have to look at that. I think there was a couple of them left. Property taxes were introduced in the Civil War. I think I am going to bring this up to this level. Yeah, we're going to go 3. Property taxes were introduced in the Civil War, and they were supposed to be for the Civil War, and was it Civil War? Or was it the inheritance tax? Might have been the inheritance tax. Can't recall 100%. But property taxes are relatively a new thing in America, dating back to wherever. We didn't have property taxes at the founding. How did the federal government make money? Through tariffs. That's how the federal government made money. It was only when the 14th Amendment was drafted that the federal government had the right to tax citizenry. I might be incorrect on that. Was it the 14th Amendment that allowed that? They had to actually amend the Constitution because it was unconstitutional to tax the citizenry. Think about that. They had to amend the Constitution of the United States in order to tax the citizenry because the federal government taxing its citizens was unconstitutional. Think about that for a minute. It wasn't constitutional to tax the citizens. You could get, they could tax for tariffs. That's how the federal government made money. Supported the government. Yeah, I think that looks better with 3. Yeah. So in our new country, the country that we're going to create, friends, there's going to be limits on the ability of the feds in the state to tax you. And I am not opposed to taxation. You got to get money somewhere. The government has to run. And I want a strong government. I don't want a weak government. Because if you have a weak government, it can't enforce the law. A weak government can't enforce the laws that it makes. A strong government can. I'm not opposed to strong government. Or even a big government. I'm not opposed to a big government if the government's doing what it's supposed to do. Because you need an enforcement branch. You need a military. Gotta have a military. People just gonna invade. You tired yet? I can do this dance all day, son. But you, unfortunately, cannot. bulky, man. Yeah, we did lose some armor with that. Just standing there. There we go. Hey, man, are you Doofertons? No Doofertons around. Ah, yo. Chicky, kung fu lady. This is an arm. You! Come here. Come here. No, don't run away. Coward. Not so tough with your friends. Without your friends, are ya? Where'd Kelvin run off to? There he is. See anybody else, Kelvin? Ah. Yo. Look at him run. That's right. Run away, you cowards. Those are my thoughts anyway. Probably wrong. Some of it. You guys can, you know, if you want to be part of the Empire, it's perfectly fine. We're looking for good people to join the Empire. Offering low taxes. You're not gonna get voting rights as you think of them, right? You don't get voting. You don't get the right to vote in my empire. There's no voting. No voting, friends. Not the way you would think of it. It'd be more like a republic. Only certain people are allowed to vote. You have to do some type of civil service, military service. Maybe we have a tax. You know, if you're a taxpayer, you may vote. So if you actually really pay taxes, that would include, you know, people who work and pay taxes. If you're retired and making money, like you're making money on your investments, you still get to vote. If you're taking money from the government in any way, you don't get to vote. There's no vote there. You're not allowed to vote. Do you get any government benefits? Any government benefits? Of course, I wouldn't have very many government benefits at all. I also think I would institute a required, federally. I'd get rid of, you know, in the United States we have the Social Security. I would get rid of that, and the amount of, and I would require by law, by emperor mandate, that a percentage of your income go into a retirement fund of some kind that you can direct any way you want. You want to invest in, you know, stocks or something, or mutual funds or something, land, whatever you want. You can do whatever you want with it. There's no limit to it. You can invest as much as you want. You want to invest 20% of your income? Yeah, you invest 20% of your income. And by the way, tax-free. It would be tax-free until you took it out. Kind of like the Roth model. You don't get taxed until the very end. So you can essentially grow your capital without taxes. I thought I burned this out last time. But without limit. So if you wanted to, you know, invest 80% of your money, go ahead. It's your money. You're making it. And then you would get, we'd figure out your contributions, and there would be a capital gains tax on it because you made money. Right? We still got to earn money for the government. We still have to function somehow. But there would be a capital gains tax on it. And it would be a maximum of 10% one time. You made $6 million. It's a one-time $600,000 tax. That's it. You're done. You're done. Don't have to worry about it. It's one time. And you can retire anytime you want. None of this, oh, you have to wait till you're 65. Well, why do you have to wait till you're 65 to retire? I'm retired, sort of. I do other work, but I don't work for a company anymore. Why do you have to wait? Why do you have to wait to retire? This whole, you put all this money into the Social Security system, you're not getting any return for it. You should be able to take all your money out and say, well, I'm going to retire. And then if you do that, that's fine. If you blow it all, that's your decision. You got $3 million in there, and you decide you want to retire. Okay. But you gotta realize there's some responsibility there. Gotta realize that. So yeah, there would be a Social Security system, but it would be user directed, and there would be a mandate on how much minimum you can put in. I don't know what that number minimum would be. Like maybe 5% has to go to your retirement. Because I'm not going to support you because you weren't smart enough to put your money aside. And I certainly don't want to see, hundreds of homeless people running around the place because they weren't smart enough to put money aside in their prime. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That was close, man. Almost freaking helped my buddy. But hey, these guys. I'm making all this shit up along as I go, so. What do you call it? Game theorying it? I'm just theorizing here. But we shall create an empire. I shall create an empire, friends. It should be my empire. Named after me. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these logs. It should be the greatest empire in the world that has ever known. Even greater than the Roman Empire. I shall compass a good portion of the earth. Not all of it. Our citizenry shall work hard, improve themselves, improve their country, or they go into the dungeon. We put them in the dungeon, make them think about things. We haven't built the dungeon yet, but we shall. We shall build a dungeon that is grand and glorious. Well, we could build a dungeon out of all these constituent parts here. I think y'all would want to join my empire. Yeah, we're gonna have to restart the game. Which, yeah, we're almost over. We're almost done for the day. We've collected all the stone. Well, friends, that's I think it's enough for the Empire. We've discussed the Empire enough. You know, we'll have positions in the Empire, such as Bridge Overlord. You know, since somebody's not there doing their job, we're going to replace that person and select a new Bridge Overlord. We'll have a official wizard in the tower. Governors shall govern properly. If not, they'll be thrown in the dungeon. We shall throw them in the dungeon, take all of their property, and give it to the next governor. As rightly we should, as emperor of everything. I wouldn't want to be emperor, though. It's kind of a hard job. You have to listen to people all day with their petitions. Well, I mean, you know, we can mitigate that by saying that you have to go to the governor first. You know, if you have a petition, you want to redress the government, you have to go to the governor first, and then you could go to the, I don't know, the judicial branch. We have to think about a judicial system as well. Yeah. Judges. I don't think judges should be appointed for life either. 10 years on the bench, just like the governors. Appointed by the emperor himself. Because only the emperor can make such crucial decisions for our empire. But then again, you know, if the state becomes too big, then the emperor won't be able to, you know, the problem becomes once you become large, you get fractionalization because your government is no longer capable of managing the needs of its citizens because of the size of the bureaucracy involved. Yeah, it's kind of like the Eastern and Western Roman Empire. They split because of, you know, the size of the damn republic, the size of the empire. It's one of the reasons. There's a couple other reasons, but you go manage that side, I'll go manage this side. But we have to make sure that the empire doesn't grow too large. Well, maybe. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be emperor because how many judges would you have to appoint? Hundreds and hundreds of them. I mean, a judge resigns or got to replace him every 10 years or something. Any judge not applying the law. And that's the other thing is like, you know, application of law. Like any judge not fairly applying the law shall be, they'll be put in the dungeon. Any judge caught getting a bribe from somebody, and we would regularly test the judges. We'd offer them a bribe to let somebody go, you know, or on a lesser sentence, goes to the dungeon. All of his assets are seized, put in the state treasury, sold off. He's humiliated, has to walk through the streets, you know, with a chain on his neck. Walked through the streets, shown as a corrupt judge. Yeah. So judges should fear the power of the state too. I don't believe that judges should be unafraid of the state. They should be wholesome individuals who don't take bribes, don't take favors. listen to if a person is guilty or innocent. You can call them, magistrates or judges, whatever terminology you like to use. We would have fair judges, speedy trials. It's very important to have a speedy trial. Don't want people lingering in prison, like if they did an offense, if they stole something. We don't want them lingering in prison. We want to get them we want to get them to jail as fast as possible. We don't want them hanging around, eating up state funds that are necessary to educate our children. Or, we wouldn't have enough money to. We have too many criminals just, hanging around, not doing anything, waiting for their trial. Because, there's not enough judges. Oh, we would have a lot of judges. That's why you need a big state. So you can get trials done quickly. Fair and speedy trial, right? You don't have to linger in prison. Not sure how I feel about jury by peer, though, because I don't believe that. One, I would make a very good jurist. If I would make a very good jurist, I don't think other people should be forced to serve on a jury. Because people aren't impartial. Like, you try to be impartial, but it's really hard to be impartial. It's very, very hard. Maybe we have AI do the, we have some 3 or 4 AI computers make decisions based upon the evidence presented. Not sure how I would do criminal trials, but they shall be speedy and fair. These guys. These guys, I tell you. This is why we need a big federal government to make sure that people like this are not allowed to be free. Put them in the prison as well. No such thing as qualified immunity. No. None of that crap. Police officer does something wrong in the line of duty. Illegally does something. Qualified immunity, you sue the state. And the state the taxpayers have to pay the tax for stupid. We get rid of qualified immunity. Police officers would instantly stop doing stupid, because their livelihoods would be at risk, and they should be. You don't get to break the law. Cops planting evidence. You see that crap on TV all the time. They gotta follow the rules just like everybody else. Yeah, this is much better. I like this. Yeah, we're getting rid of qualified immunity. Like, you're not immune just because you hold a public office. If you break the law, son, you'll be in jail too. We're gonna hold our As we have to hold our magistrates to a high standard. We have to hold our police officers to a high standard. We have to hold our military to a high standard. Don't want any of this nonsense. Not in my empire. Not in my empire, friends. Punishments shall be swift. They shall be harsh. You're not going to sit around waiting, wondering if you're going to get, put in jail. Go before the magistrate, go before the judge, whoever, whatever I'm going to call them. I'll get you a guilty or not guilty verdict within, a couple weeks. Oh, that's one of the things that takes so long in trials, is they have to do jury pool selection. Like I said, I'm not sure about the jury pool idea. I would not be a very good jurist because I don't believe. I instinctually don't believe police officers, myself personally, when they take the stand. I think most police officers are. And the reason I believe this is you see so many police officers on camera freaking lying. So, if the police officer, this is one of my big problems. If a police officer can lie to you during an investigation, but you're not allowed to lie to the police during an investigation, what's fair about that? What's fair about that? There's no fairness in that. There's no jury, there's no good thing that comes of that. So I instinctually believe that police officers lie to protect themselves. I see that crap. You see that crap all the time nowadays. And all the supposed good police officers, where are they? Why aren't they arresting these police officers that are punching people, pulling them over, breaking their material goods, going into homes without a warrant? Where are all the good cops? Right? Where are all the good cops? I want good cops. I want really, really good cops. I want a good cop to stop a bad cop from doing a bad thing. That's what I want. I want my police officers to go, dude, stop. You don't. You're breaking the law. But where are they? You tell me. You see this crap all the time. Just type it into YouTube. Or you can get those guys who do the audits and such, run around and make fun of the police who don't know the Constitution, they don't know the laws, don't know local ordinances, and they try to bully people. Those guys should just be arrested, harassment, and they should be sued under color of law. Under color of law. Those are my personal thoughts on the matter. So we're going to make sure that we have a strong federal government, strong imperial government, strong laws, the most ethical police officers, peace officers around. So when you're ready, join us in our empire. But we'll do empire stuff later. That's going to do it for today's episode. I had a lot of fun today. Thanks. It's all just nonsense. I'm just talking. Believe whatever you want. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.